The night was humid, heavy with brass and frying oil. Street lamps bled gold across wet cobblestones as I hauled open the back door of the club, heart drumming faster than the trumpet line drifting from rehearsal. I'd spent all day prepping, knowing the gumbo contest was my one chance. If I could win, Mama's spice mix would carry her name forward. But when I reached into the cooler, my breath snapped short. The jar of her spice blend, every grain of it hand ground, every aroma wrapped in memory, was gone. So were the shrimp, the plump ones I'd bargained for at the dock. My hands shook. Heat rose through me sharper than cayenne. I shoved past a rack of mugs and stormed into the club's kitchen, startling the dishwasher who nearly dropped a pan. "Who's been in my station?" My voice cracked, echoing against tile and steel. No answer. Just the muffled rehearsal from the stage. Piano rolling under sax. I pressed my palms flat against the counter to steady them. I couldn't lose Mama's recipe now, not on the eve of the contest. A door creaked, and there she was, the pianist. Tall, jacket draped careless, fingers still carrying the rhythm as if she'd brought the keyboard with her. She leaned in the doorway, eyebrow arched. "You storm like a hurricane. What's been stolen now?" Her tone teased, but her eyes darted toward the shelves too quickly, too knowing. The spice jar, the shrimp. Without them, I can't cook. I swallowed hard, tasting metal instead of memory. "And don't act like you don't know something." She tapped the side of her head, as if a tune only she could hear. "I know I heard a line tonight, slipped into a jazz verse. Something about shrimp on the sly, spice to the sky. Odd lyric, don't you think?" She said it casually, but my chest tightened. Mama's recipe notes had once used that phrase, "to the sky," meaning add until it sings. I stepped closer, catching the scent of clove and old wood from her jacket. "Where did you hear it exactly?" "Stage rehearsal." Trumpeter hummed it, grinning like he had a secret. She shrugged, though her fingers fidgeted against her thigh. "Maybe you're chasing the wrong thief, or maybe the music tells more truth than the market." I wanted to demand straight answers, but her half-smile caught me off guard. Sparks in the kitchen heat. My anger softened for just a beat, enough to notice the rhythm of her breathing against the sax's laugh beyond the door. Still, I couldn't linger. If I don't get those ingredients back by sunrise, everything's lost. "Then maybe you'll need an accompanist," she said, slipping into the room as if she already belonged there. The brass swelled outside, and for the first time, I wasn't sure if the contest was about gumbo alone. We stepped into the narrow back alleys, cobblestones slick from late rain, lantern light puddling in uneven pools. The pianist walked close enough that her sleeve brushed mine, a steady rhythm against my jittering pace. Every closed stall mocked me. The shrimp vendor gone, the spice merchant shuttered, barrels pulled under tarps. Midnight in New Orleans had never felt so locked. We coaxed favors where we could. She leaned on a bouncer she knew, coaxing whispers out of him with the playful arpeggio tapped on the wood railing. I traded my last beignets for a tip from a vendor's niece. Each lead fizzled, yet every turn left us walking more like partners than rivals. Whispers followed us, neighbors peering from gallery balconies, muttering that we looked like mischief makers, or worse, like lovers sneaking trouble. Heat flushed my cheeks, though I kept my eyes fixed on the lamplight. At the club again, searching for any overlooked clue, I crouched behind her piano bench. My hand brushed burlap roughness, and when I pulled the sack forward, a smear of black soot streaked my palm. She leaned over, eyes narrowing. That sack should have been clean. Smoke still lingered faint on the fabric, like fire kissed it. Someone had hidden stolen goods here, maybe hauled them through the back chimney chute. I held the sack up, but it was empty now. The clue mocked me with its absence. She caught my wrist gently, studying the soot, then my face. You're chasing ghosts if you think you can rebuild your mother's gumbo by morning. I don't have a choice, I whispered. The clock in my head ticked louder, sunrise coming fast. I pressed my soot-stained hand against my apron, leaving a dark print. A time slip. I glanced at the wall clock above the bar. It was nearly 2 a.m., the night half gone. She tilted her head, smile softening. Then we improvise. Use what's left. Her fingers tapped invisible keys on the bar's edge, already arranging flavors like notes. My stomach nodded. Mama's recipe wasn't sheet music to rearrange, but without shrimp, without spice, what else could I do? When she shouldered the kitchen door open beside me, I didn't stop her. The whispers of the street, the soot smudge, the rising clock, they all funneled us back to one truth. If we wanted any chance at dawn, we'd have to play this dish together.
By 3 a.m., the kitchen was alive with motion. Knives struck in syncopated rhythm, broth bubbled low like a bass line, and the pianist, hair falling loose now, stood at the stove beside me. Our arms brushed as we cut okra, stirred, tasted. The gumbo thickened under our duet, but every glance between us carried more heat than the simmering pot. Then it cracked. I snapped when she reached for the spice jar substitute, a cheap blend I'd sworn never to touch. That's not Mama's. You don't just swap soul for smoke. She slammed the lid down, eyes flashing. Music lives in improvisation. Your mama's gumbo doesn't have to be caged in a jar. I stiffened, chest tight. Easy for you to gamble. This is all I have left of her. Her jaw worked, then she turned sharply, yanking open the club's account book on the counter. You think I don't gamble? Look. She stabbed at a line, debts scrawled in black ink, numbers spiraling like chains. I know what it means to risk everything. My throat closed. Was she saying she'd stolen from me to cover this? My chest burned with betrayal. But then her hand slowed, sliding to the ladle instead. She dipped, tasted, and met my eyes across the steam. The fight faltered, laughter bubbling where anger had been. Too much salt, she admitted, lips curling. I burst out laughing too loud, and it echoed against tile. Suddenly, our hands moved together again, stirring, cutting, passing spices like passing notes. The rupture hadn't broken us. It had changed the key. When I reached for the pot, my fingers brushed hers. We both froze, inches apart, breath mingling in the rising steam. A near kiss hovered there, fragile, before the pot hissed sharply, steam erupting like a cymbal crash. We jumped back, laughing again, cheeks flushed, but the moment lingered, an unplayed note hanging in the air. I glanced at the wall clock, 4:15. Sunrise was a final sweep away. The ledger line haunted me. Debts tied to her name. Was she playing me? The doubt gnawed even as I tasted the gumbo and felt something true warming my chest. We'd built this together, even if the clock was stealing the rest of the night. Dawn came soft and gold, the kind that draped itself over the river and wrapped the city in promise. The festival square was alive, pots steaming, judges' chairs lined beneath bunting, trumpets blaring above a crowd that smelled of smoke and shrimp. My stomach twisted as I set our pot on the table, knowing Mama's jar was missing, knowing our shrimp had been stolen. Yet inside the gumbo shimmered something new, her smoky chord of flavor, improvised yet rich. The rival chef strutted on stage, boasting into the mic, shrimp on the sly, spice to the sky. He crooned to the crowd, his trumpet echoing the lyric. My skin prickled. That was it. The phrase I'd heard in rehearsal, the phrase buried in Mama's notes. He hadn't known he was giving himself away, bragging through song. The first clue was no ghost. It was his confession, hidden in plain sight. When the judges lifted spoons, I held my breath. One closed his eyes, nodding slow. Another scribbled notes, lips pursed, then softening. And then applause broke, warm and uncoiling. Our gumbo, cobbled from scraps, sung in its own right. Not Mama's unchanged, but not gone either. A legacy reshaped, not erased. Beside me, she shifted nervously, ledger still heavy between us. I turned, forcing myself to ask, "Did you steal for those debts?" She shook her head, gaze steady. "I've been paying something else. Your rent. Quietly. Every month you fed me after practice, I couldn't let you lose your place. The ledger wasn't a crime. It was my thanks." The red herring flipped, betrayal dissolving into generosity I hadn't dared imagine. My chest ached, relief, sweet and stinging. The MC called my name, pressed a ribbon into my hands. I stepped onto the stage, spice jar nowhere in sight, but Mama's spirit alive in the crowd's roar. And then I did the thing I hadn't dared. I pulled the pianist beside me, public, unflinching. "We cooked this together," I said, voice trembling but sure. The crowd cheered, music swelled, and I felt her hand clasp mine, firm and claiming. The cost was clear. I'd risked rewriting Mama's legacy. She'd risk exposing debts. But the reward stood here with us, warm and certain. In that moment, kitchen and club blurred, gumbo steam and piano smoke twining into one song. We didn't kiss then, not with the square roaring, but later, as the band struck up and the ribbon trailed between our hands, I caught her gaze. It said everything. The camera of the morning sun caught us side by side, smiling, the pot steaming between us like a promise.